What's up, guys? This is the first video that I'm making with 0 edits, and I'm just going to ramble away. So if you're not somebody that is really interested in fitness and the details of it, or to see people's progress or to understand your progress, then you might not enjoy this video. But let's get started. So I wanted to make the first one about somebody that has shown the test of and proven the test of time. What I mean by that, and this is something that I have a conversation with a lot of my clients, is someone that has already adapted the lifestyle part of this whole fitness journey, that has looked at past the visuals and how you look and how you operate necessarily on a day-to-day basis when it comes to the scale, right? A lot of people get fixated on the scale and they get either traumatized or motivated by the number on that scale. Now, Angie's somebody that I met already into fitness, was already into having a routine, was already a little bit on the more stronger and fit side. But over time, people obviously adapt to what they're doing and they want to get better. And that's where I came in when I first met Angie back in 2019. So when I first met her, she was already a very busy mom, wife, and a worker. She's a nurse. So, you know, for those nurses out there, you guys know that your job is very tiring, very stressful, depending on what you're actually doing. I know trauma nurses, I know delivery nurses, they're all very hard types of work. So trying to improve your fitness when it comes to your weight, the amount of muscle that you're trying to put on, and body fat, trying to drop that, can be very hard, especially after 30. Now, I mentioned 30 because that is a number that a lot of people get stuck on, because most of the research does show that after 30, our body starts to slow down, but that's because of the actions that we do outside of the gym, right? We start, making a little more money. You start settling in with your partner. You probably have kids. The stress levels go up because now you probably have a mortgage, or you're probably renting out, or whatever the case is. A lot of people tend to have more problems after 30 because that's when the real adulthood hits. And then our parents or loved ones are in need of whoever seems to be doing quote unquote good in life. So investing back into yourself could be a little bit harder, especially since fitness is very, very selfish. You have to think about yourself because this takes a lot of time, a lot of planning when it comes to where you want to go eat, what you cook at home. The kids and the spouse sometimes don't necessarily like that or appreciate that change, but it's necessary if you're trying to see changes like Angie saw here, but it's different on a case-to-case basis. So let's break this down a little bit. So these are the feelings versus the reality and how we envision this journey. That's step number one. I feel like as a trainer, I've worked with hundreds of people with hundreds of different types of walks of life. Most of my clients are mid to late 50s, and they're probably one of my strongest, most fit people just because of the mindset. This is all based on mindset. So obviously when I first met Angie, she was already light. She was 147 pounds. She had a total of 57 pounds of skeletal muscle in her frame, and she was at 30.4 body fat percentage. Now, those numbers are not bad. Like I said, she was already into fitness, so this was definitely not something that was like, oh wow, we gotta drop this for health purposes or whatever. She just wanted to level up. She wasn't feeling the strongest, even though she liked to strength train, and didn't necessarily have a routine. So we started working, and she actually gained almost 10 pounds in the course of a year. On the scale wise, that would traumatize you. That'd be like, oh, what's going on? But she also did put on some muscle, almost 4 pounds of muscle. So that is totally normal. Body fat percentage barely went up. Complete normal. But just to show how this process takes, this is a course of 5 years that we're going to break down. And when you look at the grand scheme of things, before I even continue this, I just want you to look at the results, 5-year results. If I were to sit here and tell you, look, in 5 years, if you dial in, you lock in, and you learn, and you try to do your best, it's not going to motivate you necessarily because you're probably not as educated or aware of how long and how hard this process is. So in 5 years, Angie lost 2 pounds. Yeah, 2 pounds. But just bear with me. and watch the rest of the video so you can see it'll all make sense later. She gained 4 pounds of muscle. In 5 years, that's an average of just under a pound a year. Very realistic, and it's also very hard to do. And then she dropped 6% body fat. That's where this, chart becomes very impressive in 5 years. Let's go down to the next year, 2023. She went to 165. So that would be the peak of this. I wouldn't even say bulk because it wasn't a purposeful bulk, but she went to 165 pounds, went up to 64 pounds of muscle, so gained another 3 pounds out of the 10 pounds, roughly 8, I don't know math, 8 pounds that she gained. 3 of those were muscle, which is great. Kept the body fat percentage relatively the same, 31.8. Moving on to the September of 2024, she dropped 10 pounds. This is when the nutrition and the outside habits started changing. Now, mind you, we've been having a lot of conversations of methods and things that she could try outside of the gym. It's never really about what you do inside the gym. Sometimes to get these results is what we do outside. You're only with me for about an hour, right? Maybe once or twice a week if I train you. And you're by yourself and your decisions and your willpower and your discipline the rest of the time. So it's very important that we have these conversations so you can see and be realistic about what you're expecting. Because if you expect that you're going to be working with a trainer 1 to 2 times, maybe 3 times a week, and you're going to get these results without putting in extra effort, you're mistaken. So we have, her body fat percentage actually dropped. So she dropped 10 pounds and then, my bad. Let's go to the skeletal muscle. She went to 61.7, so she lost a little bit. So out of 10 pounds that she lost, we dropped 3 pounds of muscle, which is completely normal. Let's look at the body fat percentage. She went to 29, so she dropped roughly 3% of body fat. Let's see. Up next, we have the first reading, and I'm gonna put this chart because this is obviously written, but I'm going to show you guys the actual chart. So we are on January of this year. We've done 2 measurements. We're actually doing them more often now just because we want to be a little more particular about what we're doing. So she dropped another 3 pounds, 151, 4 pounds actually, I think. Skeletal muscle is at 62. So she's like right there, 61.7, 62, same thing. Body fat went down to 27, so another 2% off of body fat. But again, it's only a little bit of a change. And then July of this year, we went to 145 pounds. So 6 pounds, 61 pounds of muscle mass, basically the same. And then 23.9% body fat. So that, to accomplish something like that, if you are understanding how this whole chart you cannot do in a matter of a year. Now, let me correct myself. You can do it in a matter of a year, but this is just the number wise. So if you're a person that likes to track numbers, this is how I would think, being a mom, full-time worker, nurse in particular, and then a wife, which obviously has its own roles. It's a lot of responsibility to do all those things and still accomplish this. This has to be done in a long period of time. Otherwise, you're going to risk burnout. You're not going to build muscle or drop body fat, let alone strength. I want to show you a couple clips of what Angie has been able to do with her body. And we're not even speaking about someone that's just genetically blessed. She's not like 5'11", super like athletic, super blessed genetically. We just have to be real with what we are given. But what she was given, she has accomplished a lot. Now, I have a lot of examples like this. I'm just using Angie because she's one of the ones that decided to do these measurements. And I'm not a huge fan of tracking your measurements pretty often, let alone doing it a couple times a year or even skipping a year. I usually keep this with me and the person that I'm working with because we're the ones that benefit from it, right? I benefit from this because I'm learning another skill to be able to help someone, then they're the ones benefiting from this. I don't really use this. I'm not using this to promote anything because I feel like the results speak for themselves of the people that she talks to. And there's no bullshit here as far as gimmicks or anything like that. Because if there was gimmicks, I would be telling you right now how to drop a lot of weight, increase muscle mass and body fat in the next 6 months. That's possible, but what happens after the 6 months? If I am able to get somebody to drop this and get this result in 6 months, and then in 6 more months you go right back, I failed you. That's not what I believe is a good education system or a good trainer, because it's not about the clout that we get and like, oh my God, 3 months, 20 pounds, 3% muscle gain, 2%, 3% body fat loss. You're amazing. Angie has been able to mix strength and cardio. She does marathons. She does, little sparring races and stuff. And this is just an example of what she wanted. It's not something that I wanted. We don't even train boxing, and I'm known for more training people in boxing and booty building. Hers is more overall functional. She just wants to be a badass mom and be able to be a good example to her kids, which are monsters. They're in cheerleading and in football. So this is just an example, and I have probably 30, 40 more examples like this that I'm going to be going over, because it's very important to see the actual progress broken down. There's many different ways to measure it. Some of my videos, you'll see that it's not even using these metrics, weight, muscle mass, and body fat percentage. Is going to be using real life scenarios, like a couple working out for 5-10 years. It's very hard to stay on this routine of hitting the gym, making progress, and not breaking. A lot of people break. A lot of people burn out. A lot of people depending on the next trend, totally fine. But for the most part, people have busy lives. They want to enjoy their life, and they want to be able to expand the most they can in their knowledge to be able to not only eat correctly and still have a good time outside of your strict, conscious ways of eating, but also have a good time, and then also build these disciplines that you need to be able to have to be able to take your game to the next level. So I think that's all the notes that I have here. And for the last part, I'm just going to leave you guys with some clips of Angie, and over a course of time of being able to hit all our 7 main human patterns that I think that are very important for us to take note of and train hard, and then show a good example of somebody that's not only been able to get this done, but still be there for her kids and be a good wife and do all the stuff that's necessary for our work. So this is not the best case scenario necessarily for someone that's trying to do this, because it involves a lot of time, but she was able to discipline herself and her surrounding. I think that's what makes a big deal. When you're like not even an influencer, but when you play a big role in your family and they need you, that means that there's value in you. I think when you try to do something like this, other people around you start kind of following you, and or at least not even I wouldn't say not even getting in the way, but they just let you do your thing. And sometimes indirectly you end up getting joined, just like I did with the whole non-drinking thing. I probably have like 20, 25 people that have under the carpet too. It's not like we announce this, so it's not like we tell people, oh, I stopped drinking because once no. It's just one of those things that you do it right, you show the results, they show for themselves, and then people just want to join. And that's more on the trendy side, but I believe it's a good thing to follow. It's not a bad habit, and it definitely takes a lot of work and a lot of experience. So these videos, again, they're going to be on the longer side. They're not clickbaity. They're not going to be 1-minute videos. I'm just going to post this on Instagram so you guys can see and follow the YouTube channel, where I'm going to be doing more of the long-term stuff. If you guys want to see any specific things about either equipment, fitness, or any breakdowns, let me know. I'm pretty new to this. All the videos that I have on my YouTube are more from my app, but this time I'm going to be making the more educational videos and breaking things down. And I might throw in some fun topics that have to do with fitness, maybe relationship topics, maybe financial topics. So let me know what you guys want to see. And hopefully I see a bunch of new faces here, because like again, I'm gonna be a little more active on the YouTube moving forward, trying to get one video a week, and we'll see where this goes. Peace out.